Now that the How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie has finally hit theaters, you can go ahead and choose your dragon to start flying across the island of Berk. Do you know all the dragon species that appear in the movies and animated series? The most famous dragon in the entire franchise is the Night Fury. Before Hiccup formed a bond with Toothless, the Vikings of Berk knew this dragon as a monster that couldn't be defeated. According to the Book of Dragons, the Night Fury is faster than lightning. Its size is unknown, its firepower is infinite, and every time it shows up, the only thing to do is run and hide. But once Hiccup meets Toothless, we find out he's a medium-sized dragon, about 26 feet long, black in color, with green eyes. Hiccup calls him Toothless because this dragon has teeth that can retract and come back out of his gums. Toothless isn't your typical fire-breathing dragon. He has a power called the Plasma Blast, which shoots explosive fire that can destroy anything. And that's not all. He also has several other powers like the Alpha Dragon's Roar and the ability to control lightning. His plasma blasts are invisible at night, which makes him way more dangerous and powerful than people realize. Fighting him in the dark is basically impossible. But you know what is possible? Getting to know the main dragons from this universe, because this is the start of another Cinna wave. Another dragon that's just as rare as Toothless is the Light Fury. She appeared in the third movie as Toothless's love interest, and this female dragon is seriously powerful. She has all of Toothless's abilities, and even some extras that are really cool. The Light Fury can camouflage in clouds and become completely invisible. These are powers Toothless has too, but the Light Fury has the advantage of being equally terrifying during the day or night. Toothless only really has the upper hand at night since he's not as good at hiding as his girlfriend. DreamWorks has already confirmed that the Light Fury is a different species from Toothless, even though they look very similar. But the easiest way to explain it is that since they had kids together, the two species must be super closely related. The Light Fury was never tamed by humans. In other words, she never had a dragon rider. And later on, she becomes Toothless's partner and they have 3 hatchlings together, 2 males and 1 female. And even though she's never accepted a rider, this female dragon is still one of the coolest, right? So who's your favorite? The Night Fury or the Light Fury? In the first movie, the Vikings didn't know where the dragon's nest was, let alone that they had a king as big and powerful as this. Red Death is known as the master of all dragons. He's 508 feet long and weighs as much as a mountain. Not much is known about this dragon, but he can fly, though he rarely leaves the place he chose as his nest. According to legend, Red Death lived for over 2,000 years, and during that time he laid thousands of eggs. Red Death hatchlings fight until only one survives to become the master of all dragons. That theory makes a lot of sense, since no more than one of this species has ever been seen, which means he's probably a solitary monster. We believe Red Death's main ability is just being gigantic. He has 6 eyes and almost no weaknesses. His fire blasts are endless and can wipe out entire armies. Another thing to know about this beast is that he also feeds on other dragons. Poor little ones. But Red Death can be defeated if he's hit with a fire blast inside his mouth just before he launches his own attack. A cool fun fact, in the animated version, this monster is blue and gray, while in the movie he's red. Just like he was supposed to be from the start. Did you like that change? But there's another kind of dragon that can compete with Red Death in both size and power. This species is called the Bewilderbeast, and it's a sea dragon. In other words, it prefers living deep underwater. And that makes total sense because this creature is massive. It's 518 feet long and doesn't breathe fire, it breathes ice. Unlike most dragons, it can build its own nest by freezing its surroundings. We've seen 2 dragons of this species and they're both alpha dragons. That means they compete for the title of Dragon King, a title that eventually goes to Toothless after he wins the final battle. Unlike other dragons, the Bewilderbeast doesn't have wings, so it can't fly. The only way it can escape an attack is by diving deep into the ocean, and that can be a big disadvantage since this dragon isn't very fast. Because it's so big and heavy, the Bewilderbeast becomes a huge target, and that's how Toothless was able to beat the previous alpha. Even though he lost in the end, he's still a super rare and awesome dragon. Would you want to have an ice dragon? Drop a hashtag dragon in the comments so we can get to know ya! The deadly Natter is the type of dragon Astrid flies. Hiccup's girlfriend was incredibly brave to take on this beast because even though it's not the fastest or the strongest dragon, the Natter didn't get its name by accident. The deadly Natter has the hottest fire of all. It can melt steel in seconds. Plus, its flames work like lightning bolts it can shoot with perfect accuracy. Basically, it almost never misses. Actually, it never misses. You'd better run if you don't want to become barbecue. On top of that, Astrid's dragon has super sharp spikes it can launch at its target, and that's another big advantage, because even if it loses its firepower, this beast can still fight. The Natter is about 33 feet long, one of the best looking dragons out there, but not the fastest flyer. Would you train this dragon? The Monstrous Nightmare is a dragon that's 66 feet long. Its entire body can be set on fire, and it's one of the dragons that can fly the highest. It's not the fastest, but it can attack at any time of day. This dragon can be trained, but it takes a lot of courage, because when it loses its temper, the Monstrous Nightmare literally ignites. Stoic rides this kind of dragon. What about you? Would you ride one? According to Gobber, a dragon with a wet head can't breathe fire, but the hideous Zippleback is way too clever. It has two heads, one releases flammable gas, and the other sparks the flame. This gives the dragon the ability to hide in its own cloud and then turn an entire field into a wall of fire. And what does that mean? Never, seriously never get caught in the gas it releases. If you do, you've walked straight into its trap. If a rock became a dragon, it would definitely be a Gronal. The Gronal isn't a big dragon, just around 13 feet long. It's not fast either. Its wings are way too small for its bulky body, and sadly, it's not known for pulling off great aerial moves. But its power is huge. The Gronal is super heavy, shoots explosive fireballs, and has a jaw strong enough to crush anything. It's the perfect dragon for anyone who's into brute force. Is that your kind of monster to train? You're definitely our kind of friend, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. The Stormcutter is one of the strangest dragons in the entire universe. This dragon is so rare that it only shows up during storms, and it has one creepy feature that scares a lot of people. Valka's dragon, Hiccup's mom, has 4 wings instead of 2, like most dragons. It can rotate its head like an owl, which makes this dragon really dangerous because it can breathe fire in any direction, even if it's been captured. Its 4 wings make it faster than most and able to fly higher than almost any other dragon. It's great in battle, but it doesn't have much of a sense of humor, so you'll have to be a very serious trainer if you want to ride one. Does that sound like you? This next dragon never appeared in the movies, only in the animated Netflix series. It's the dragon ridden by Heather, a beautiful girl who makes all the boys in Berk fall head over heels. Heather's dragon is easily one of the most powerful and dangerous in the How to Train Your Dragon universe. The Razer Whip is practically indestructible, with armor-like metallic scales. Its only 2 known weaknesses are that it's stubborn about eating sea slugs, and its stomach is not very well protected. Other than that, the Razer Whip can defeat just about anything. Its razor-sharp tail can slice through steel and stone. Its wings are just as dangerous. Throwing spears or swords at it won't work, and even other dragons' fire seems useless, since this monster's scales are the toughest in the world. The good news is the Razor Wind has a great sense of humor and makes friends easily, but don't make it mad, because even its tears are poisonous. Think this is your kind of dragon? The Terrible Terror is one of the funniest dragons out there. It really cracks fans up. With a tiny body just over 3 feet long and light as a feather, this dragon isn't big enough to have a rider. But don't be fooled into thinking it's weak. This little guy is one of the smartest and quickest dragons around. It can fly for long distances without getting tired and has a habit of stealing food from other dragons. A Terrible Terror is not likely to be trained by someone who doesn't have a strong will because they're super stubborn and love a good fight. They know exactly when to strike, and their firepower is pretty strong for such a small creature. One fun fact is that Terrible Terrors love to travel in groups, so if you're facing a bunch of them, you better watch out. Oh, and they've also got venom, by the way. The downside of training one is that it will definitely cause a lot of trouble. You might end up fixing a bunch of broken stuff or replacing things it stole and stashed around your house. The good news? In a fight, it'll have your back for sure. Just watch your nose. It bites. At the end of the 3rd How to Train Your Dragon movie, we meet the Nightlights. This is a brand new dragon species that's a cross between Toothless and the Light Fury. Toothless and his mate have 3 hatchlings. Dart, a dark-colored female with light spots. Pouncer, a white male with black spots on his ears, and Rough Runner, a black male with white paws and green eyes. All 3 are even more powerful than their parents and super playful. They meet Hiccup in the future. There are still hundreds of dragons in the Viking world like Armorwing, Night Terror, Puffertail, and Bubblehorn. And if this video gets enough likes and comments, we'll talk about them too. Do you think our heroes' kids will end up riding them someday? And did you know the fun doesn't have to stop here? We picked out 2 more awesome videos for you to check out. We'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.